I have to rep South. I have to rep South America, man. All right,
If you
Weak
guys
Asian
aren't,
is
if you
my
guys
goat.
at home only watch DBD competitive and you don't watch other esports, in global tournaments, they always say that NA stands for near airport because they have to fly home after getting eliminated.
Yes. Well, actually, not in the recent. I went to the Overwatch Champions Grand Finals, and actually, NA kind of smoked EU, so fair enough. But don't worry, we all lost to Korea anyway. In the meantime, SMSFR is going to be losing out that first hit to Abby. A bit of an unexpected sprint burst coming out there means that you're just going to have to settle for going around the rest of the map, and that's a great hit onto Ultra. Going to open things up pretty early on. I'm going to see how quickly this first down comes out because that's obviously key to everything, but also see how it compares to, the average downtime.
Nicely done there from Ultra. He's able to actually get a pallet stun there. Playing with what distance he had there against that second blanket. Now it looks like he's going to go corner. Takes the vault. Looks like it's not going to be a lie. Then instead, Ultra just opting to stay in the corner here. A very smart decision here from Ultra. Sees a missed skill check, I think, there in the distance. But Ultra knew he was going to die here and opted to go all the way into the corner behind the main building. That is really what the survivors have to do on a map like Groaning Storehouse against the Nurse. They have to take as much care as possible to die away from the middle of the map. To an extent, against the Nurse, your death is kind of inevitable. There are places that you can run her and make her miss, like we saw with Ultra at that pallet. But after he's used that pallet and exhausted that resource, the best choice for him is to go and die away from the gens to give his team time. So now that he's on the hook, SMS extending out towards the middle of the map, trying to get some information on what these misery survivors are doing. Sees a couple of gens being worked on here, but he certainly doesn't want to give this unhook away for free, right, Hector? But it looks like it's going to come in for free.
Yeah, you're not able to get the distance ultimately. It means that you are going to end up getting that out. However, again, you have the ability to just power through this borrowed time. So Ultra could be cruising for a bruising right now, as we say in the industry, but seems to be doing all right to make some distance. Going to the corner, good attempt there, but it seems like the edge of the weapon just barely going to be hitting through onto Ultra. So it's going to be putting him right back on the hook. This is relatively on track for, the average Nurse game, to be honest. Actually going to take care to hook them next to this generator that Cheese is working on. Just apply, a little bit more pressure while you do. Is that hit's actually
Oh,
going
he's
to be
out.
just enough for Ultra to get off. That's a crazy bread that came through from Cheese, thinking, yeah, sure, I have the time for this. Does it buy a lot of time for Ultra? No, but every single second counts against the Nurse, right?
Yeah, that was actually a. I was about to say, oh no, Cheese, why are you taking hits against an S tier killer? But actually, if it's going to buy that much time for Ultra to have to get picked up and carried back to another hook, then that was perfectly worth it. A great heads up play by Cheese. Abby going to be taking a hit in the main building, and you can tell by how intent SMS was on getting Ultra to that hook specifically. He's trying to hold a 3-gen here behind the main building. He's got one generator over here on the side, one in the main building, and one right next to the hook. Also, one over to the left on the hill. So it's actually a little bit of a 4-gen coming out here. So dangerous situation here for Misery. They need to get these survivors that are injured reset, but also have pressure on the generators. Wancy now in chase, healthy here. Gonna take a hit. And Deliverance up for Wancy. That was a 2-blink hit, so she's not gonna have time. Okay, with the
Just
fatigue,
about.
Wancy will have time to trade there, and Ultra will be off the hook once again. But how far does he make it? I don't think Ultra has Decisive Strike, and he's going to need to somehow make it out of this corner. He knows he can't, though. He's just going to
Yeah,
have to play this edge map tile once again. No relevant exhaustion perk here. Overcome does nothing when you're already injured, and Ultra going to go down for the 3rd time in this corner.
Yeah, really, had inner strength, but never had the opportunity to use it, just on account of being tunneled out. Wancy, of course, was able to get their deliverance up, so in a perfect world, Wancy ends up being the next one to take some of that aggression, see if you can eke out maybe a 4th generator. I think this is a pretty disgusting 3-gen setup that SMS has already identified, as you mentioned earlier. I don't think I don't think that's going to be broken anytime soon, to put it bluntly. But if you can, get the chase through onto Claudette, make it not necessarily long, but, at least 30 seconds or so, that gives Cheese and Abby time to double up on a gen, maybe get the fourth one completed. That might be the best case scenario that you have with Ultra going down. Not necessarily quickly, but about what you expect for a Nurse game. Even that time bought by Cheese earlier with that injury, again, Cheese is still injured right now. So if you're not able to reset that Zarina, that could come back to bite them.
Did SMS really not just see Abby run directly in front of him there at the shack?
I guess not.
Apparently
the
not.
Nurse, the Nurse does wear a sack over the head, so it does obscure vision.
Very true. All right, that's going to be Cheese going up on the first hook. It's going to be a fresh hook for Cheese.
Oh my God.
Wanty trying his best to do that Wretched Fate totem, which is going to be significantly harder to do because of the Thrill of the Hunt that is active. Abby going to be hit in the main building and have to run over towards this corner. Not probably going to be, no way to dodge out on those blinks. Just nothing really there for Abby to work with, and that is, of course, going to be a slug here. SMS, nothing really to gain by fresh hooking a survivor that has no progress towards being dead. Cheese going to be unhooked by Wancy. Wancy has the deliverance here, and Cheese is the decisive strike survivor with Lithe and Unbreakable. So there's going to be the Lithe coming out. Nice pathing from Cheese, but it's actually just not enough. I thought that double back was going to be important there, but just not enough speed to escape from that second blink, and now SMS sniffing out the decisive strike and slugging Cheese, but there's an Unbreakable in play, Egder.
Yeah, Cheese is going to get on their feet regardless, and honestly, with Nurse moving over to this other side of the map in order to pressure out Abby and Wancy, it's going to be good enough for Cheese to get off their feet and escape that corner as well. It's very interesting that Wancy is the survivor of choice here. I'd say surely you would like to be taking out Abby here. I mean, they're injured, but I think if you can get hits this easily, maybe you're not particularly worried about it. Of course, Wancy, of course, going to have the deliverance, so a little bit of It never gets old. It will literally never stop being funny. Just goes down on the pallet, accepts your fate. Why not? Save yourself a bit of time to get yourself put on the hook and then render yourself off of it.
Yeah, interesting plot twist there from Wancy. I was really waiting to see if Wancy had some sort of trick up his sleeve for pathing at that 4 lane. I know when you're coming at the 4 lane from that angle, there are a couple of ways that you could double back or block line of sight against a Nurse. Just opts for the plot twist instead.
Falling on the floor
goes for the silly points.
Yeah, it worked. It's a spectator sport at the end of the day. Knows that there's an audience watching, and is able to get themselves off the hook, of course. Abby still being chased out, so it is Cheese pressuring out this generator. Only has about 25% maybe 33% progress onto it, however, so I don't foresee this one getting completed in any amount of time at all. It's looking fairly likely that the elusive 4th gen is not going to be completed by the survivors here. Wancy, of course, still going to be broken off the back of that deliverance. Cheese does not have a hope in hell of really pressuring any of these gens out while still injured, with SMS in such close pursuit.
Yeah, if SMS isn't able to find Cheese here, Wancy will eventually become not broken and able to use the plot twist to fully heal. Now, Wancy has unhooked Abby in the distance as Cheese goes down again in this corner. Yeah, so the two survivors that aren't in chase right now should be able to heal soon, but it might be too little too late, Egder, as SMS is exerting a stranglehold over this game. The highest progress gen is about 30%, and Ruin is still up.
Yeah, as I was going to say, Ruin's been up this entire time. Thrill of the Hunt, kind of a disgusting perk right here. Decent dead hard from Abby is going to buy a little bit of extra time here in this chase, but ultimately this is all, how do I say, cosmetic for the survivors, right? The 4K 2 gens remaining seems to be the almost certain outcome that we have here, and Thrill of the Hunt very fatal perk to the success of these survivors. It's going to mean that Dracula perk, the name of which still eludes me, obviously we
Wretched
saw
Fate.
that being, yeah, Wretched Fate, thank you. Wretched Fate taking so long to be cleansed, as well as the Ruin, which there is no good reason to be cleansing Ruin against Thrill of the Hunt with that many stacks. It just takes far too much time, and it's really done its damage here. Abby also going to be now put onto Death Hook as well. It's dangerous territory for the survivors here.
And one of the most important things for defeating the nurse on this Groaning Storehouse map is as you can see, there are two sort of pockets on this map. We're in one of them right now, where Wancy is getting hooked, and then the other one is where they've completed the generators. When you're playing Survivor in a competitive environment on this map, you need to identify which of the two pockets you've already completed generators in, and especially against the nurse, you got to position yourself so that if you get hit, you can run into that pocket that has the completed generator, because that's just no man's land for the killer. And Misery have not been able to make it there a single time, and have just been going down in the map in places where SMS is perfectly happy to hook.
Survivors aren't going to go down without a fight, however. They're going to try and extend things for as much as humanly possible, which isn't particularly long, if that is to be believed. We're going to be seeing the unhook come through onto Wancy, as it's just going to be traded once again in Cheese's place. It's been a very rough time. Do you think there was anything, if we had to ask, because obviously SMS has played this exceptionally well, do you think there's anything the survivors could have maybe done differently to try and achieve that 4th gen, or was it just kind of curtains the moment they loaded into the lobby?
I don't think it was over the moment they loaded into the lobby. I think they needed to do more to help Ultra escape from that corner. I think SMS would have had to think twice about tunneling Ultra if Ultra was able to make it over towards the shack side in that other pocket where they completed the generator behind the shack. If Ultra had made it there, then that would have been significantly harder for SMS to close out this game, but instead he was just trapped in the corner for 2 hook stages, unable to really use any of his perks or get anywhere else away from the generators.
Yeah, very well said, ultimately. Wancy is going to be taken down. Abby is just going to bully out this middle gen for as much as you can, and it seems as if Nurse is going to be waiting over at the hatch. Do remember that if you don't have every generator completed, then escaping out of the gate means essentially nothing, right? So we're playing for pride now. How about that?
Yep, so the hatch going to be closed there. Abby maybe doing a door, maybe not. Okay, Abby is on a door here. Does have the dead hard active here, so potential... Oh, my phone is ringing. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's going to get out. Oh, actually, are you? No, you're not going to do it. It was worth a try, but ultimately, this is how it works. We now get to watch a little bit of a Mori. I mean, I was talking earlier about how the Moris rank. Nurse, it's not quite fair to compare. It is an early killer, you know, but definitely not the most spectacular Mori in the world.
I mean, it's definitely one of the better ones out of the early killers. The bar's not very high.
Yeah, exactly. She strangled people at the asylum, and she strangles you at the end of the match. So it's on theme, at least, I guess.
Yep, so with that, that's going to be a tough win condition for Misery's Nurse. We are going to be going to a very short break here as we set up Sinner's Survivors versus Misery's Nurse to see who takes the first set point in this series, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody, to the Groaning Storehouse here for the second half of this Nurse set. We've got Wancy on the Nurse for Misery against Wee Jason, SMS, Vinny, and Bucky, the faces you know and love representing SA here in DBDLeague. So Wancy here taking a guess at where these survivors might have spawned, checking the edge map a little bit, watching the crosses, but Edgar, he's unable to find anybody just yet.
Yeah, absolutely not. Obviously, having a look in these corrupted generators, that's where the survivors want to take their initial chases. Remember, we're looking at 59 seconds for Bosso, so let's say about exactly a minute that takes for the first down on the nurse. Wancy already up against the clock right now. If you're not able to execute that, considering how rough your position is, which you have to fight for here, of course, you need to get your 4 kills at the very least before 3 gens are completed to tie. 2 gens if you want to win this one, which is almost impossible to do, let's be honest, and you just aren't able to get your first down here. Now, that being said, you look at the progress on the generators for the survivors, they aren't doing particularly hot, right? It's only Bucky who's currently working on one, so maybe there's a little bit of, maybe you're willing to take a little bit more time to find out these survivors if you are the killer right now. But right now I'm just very interested because Wancy hasn't gotten a down yet, hasn't even gotten a hit yet. The caster cursing is something which I'm very familiar with at this point, and I think that Bucky actually hops the locker to buy a bit more time and is able to get the fatigue out as well, so you're able to make it over to this TNL wall. Not a lot that you can do to break line of sight, you're just going to run yourself into the corner, really doing what you can. I don't even think you're blinking through this until the very final second if you are Wancy right now. But that's a first down eventually going to be coming through. But honestly, relatively a pretty slow one. 2 minutes 6 seconds, so exactly double the time it took for the last one.
Yeah, and this is actually exactly what Sinners wants. Because Bucky was able to hop into that locker there and even bait Wancy into swinging, that increases the time that the nurse is fatigued and allows him to get all the way into the corner there, resulting in 1 gen going as well as a lot of progress elsewhere on the map for Sinners. They're able to work on these generators so far away from where Bucky was chasing that they're definitely taking a lead here in this Survivor set.
I'm also very interested at the Gift of Pain here, right? Of course, it can be a pretty strong perk, but remember that the slowdown effect only comes through if the survivor off the hook gets healed. If you want to eliminate Bucky from the game quickly, then that's fine to do, but it means that you aren't really going to be getting any value out of that Scourge Hook perk, at least not for the first half of the game. Instead, seems like you're focusing on splitting your priorities instead, taking out SMS, and yeah, Bucky going to be healed up now. But is it worth it to have someone do a gen 16% slower, but to keep them in the game for longer? I'm not necessarily sure.
Yeah, that's definitely a tough question, isn't it? Because traditionally, you need to get a survivor out of the game as quickly as possible, as we saw in the last match with SMS getting Ultra out of the game and basically winning off of that. It's going to be the second generator done over by the shack there. There are potential returns from spreading that Gift of Pain debuff. For example, if he can get it onto Wee Jason, the Obsession, with combined with the Wretched Fate, that would be a nearly 50% debuff to Wee Jason. But he's going to be taking a hit now, has the Overcome here, but actually is going to run back into the Killer for some reason. Maybe there's a gen being worked over there? That was confusing pathing with the Overcome.
Well, now it is as you say. SMS hasn't been healed up yet, but I don't foresee it'll take particularly long for the reset to come through. I can see now how things could be a problem. Bucky minus 16%, SMS minus 16%. Wee Jason, if they eventually get unhooked and healed, that's going to be... Deliverance is good in the sense of it meant that Wee Jays get off the hook themselves. Also means that they are now going to permanently have a 50% debuff to deal with. It's just very interesting to think about all in all. Jason is going to be hopping on a gen anyway. Again, there's all this talk about, the 16% debuff or the 50% debuff. But you know what a 100% debuff to gen speed is? Not being alive. Yeah, and if you're dead, surprisingly, you struggle to do generators. I know this from personal experience.
So it looks like that's going to be SMS using Plot Twist, I think, elsewhere on the map. And now, I think Wancy definitely has something to play around here. Bucky is dead on hook, and in a dark corner of the map here, hooked all by himself, somewhere that Wancy can possibly defend. It's not in a 3-gen or anything, but if he is able to get this kill onto Bucky here if he actually comes back to focus on it. Oh, but a For the People comes in from Vinny right at the right time. And that's actually going to be the tie condition met for Sinners. So Sinners looking like they're trying to wrap this nurse set up as quickly as possible. Bucky will have one more chase here, but he's fully healthy. Nice set of blinks there from Wancy there. Second one was completely blind there, able to land that hit onto Bucky. And he's looking to end this Claudette's life right now. First blink going to come out, second blink over towards the window side, going to land, and that is going to be the kill onto Bucky. Gonna opt for the Mori here, but Egdar, I feel like this might be too little too late.
Yeah, I mean, Mori's definitely stylish, for sure, but it's definitely going to take a hot minute here, and while the... as Wancy is put to sleep, as the Claudette is put to sleep, the dreams of Wancy are gone there. That's going to be the fourth generator completed, and that's definitely going to be the win condition met. I'm interested to see whether a fifth gen gets completed here, because now you are in a pretty commanding spot. You've gotten the deliverance out already, so you don't have that to worry about. I don't know if any of these are the DS survivor. I highly doubt that Bucky was, considering how quickly they're eventually taken down. Whether Vinny is caught out of the locker doesn't really matter at this point. But yeah, Wancy is definitely in a strong position now. Didn't have a bad killer game for sure, but I think when we look back at it, the first down took double the time for Wancy than it did for SMS. And ultimately, that was crucial to the survivors here being able to, get that last gen out just in the nick of time before the pendulum permanently shifted into Wancy's direction.
Yeah, he was pretty unable to find a survivor early in the game. He's got no 3-gen to speak of, and he was not able to get a tunnel out as quickly as SMS did on the Sinners side of things. So all of those factors combined to put Sinners in a pretty strong spot to finish these generators, as surely SMS and Jason might just be leaving Vinny on the hook here and doubling a gen. No, there's actually one set of scratch marks here. Somebody coming in for the save, possibly. But you got to think that at least one of them is doing a gen over there by the main building.
They have to, right? Unless SMS actually ends up getting caught out here. Yeah, gen going to be done on the other side of things. This might just be a matter of time at this point. Being able to complete every gen against a nurse is, of course, going to be a strong result for you. You're definitely not going to be upset about that. I think that Sinners were always going to be in a tough spot, having to start the nurse set against Misery. It's kind of their bread and butter, and we can see why. Wancy definitely has been no slouch here. 8 stages, depends on how many more SMS has, might be 9 stages ultimately. But getting all these stages against them is definitely a good start for you, but ultimately Survivor's just they just kind of outpaced here.
Yeah, and I'm going to say something that might be controversial here. I think if the Survivors play optimally on Groaning Storehouse Nurse, 8 stages is probably the average result. This map is so huge, and the 2 pockets are so far away from everything else, that if the Survivors play their distance well and die in the right spots, there is really not much the nurse can do. I think the 4K result in the first half of this set was down to some survivor mistakes, and I think this result here from Wancy is much closer to what the average would be for nurse.
It seems like the stats kind of agree with you there. 10 hooks is the average. 4Ks, they happen about 60% of the time, which I think in this tournament, that might be your margin for error. Obviously every single team that gets here is phenomenal and at the top of their game at the end of the day, but 60% of them might still have some errors in their gameplay. They might make a couple of mistakes, which will allow the nurse to capitalize. Whereas there are 40% of teams where you can kind of comfortably point and say, we don't really expect them to make these kinds of mistakes. So still, as we get later and later into the tournament, it seems that the nurse 4K on the Groaning Storehouse is going to be rarer and rarer. That's enough of the nurse. The old is out of the way. And I mean, Sinners end up actually winning that one out with the 5 generators completed at the end of the day. So we are going to be going over to the Dark Lord, Mr. Dracula himself, in our next set, which we'll be seeing after a very short break. Hello everyone, welcome back. Sinners definitely came out swinging, took the nurse set, and now it's going to be Ultra's turn. See if, as people have said, can mind control the lobby. See if you can get... Apparently Ultra's just kind of nuts at this killer, or the survivors just simply fold when they see Ultra playing the Dark Lord. So it could be a little bit of both for the time being, but... In the meantime, Ultra just going to try and find the first survivor, not doing a spectacular job of it thus far, and the corrupt gen split not perfectly in Ultra's favor.
Yeah, Ultra's still looking for his first chase here, as he's gonna find a little bit of progress here on a generator at the carnival, but no survivor can be found nearby. Seems like the Sinners survivors here are doing a really good job of stealthing out on these generators early game. Just putting a little bit of progress there to make the killer suspicious and then not quite getting found there. Ultra can teleport to the shack, block that window with the purple add-on, and he's finally found his first chase here. Going to immediately drop the shack pallet there is Vinny. Ultra now into the wolf form. Going to be dashing around the side of the shack, but just barely makes the pallet at the 4 lane there. Breaks up that pallet with the wolf. Ultra staying in the wolf now, going over towards this next filler pallet. Nice fake there on the Hellfire from Vinny. Going to stay healthy for just a little bit longer here. He's a little bit zoned towards the edge map here. He won't have much after this potential hit comes in. And yeah, Ultra, nice hit there with the Hellfire. Now to the wolf form, goes for the double dash, but he's gonna barely miss, and it's because of the hook.
I was gonna say it zoned him out, but actually Vinny just about able to get it anyway. Now, however, you really are forced into this corner, and the pounce is going to come through. Again, buy as much time as you want. The fun fact that we've heard from Toby, the absolute GOAT, as we all know, the Dark Lord has the fastest average first down at 56 seconds. That one, I mean, that took at least 2 minutes, right? Yeah, 2 minutes, 13 seconds. Again, shout out to Toby for that one. But 2 gens have been completed. It seems like Ultra is not doing a great job mind controlling the lobby as we expected.
Yeah, I mean, that first down would have been a little bit faster if not for that hook placement on the filler tile, forcing Ultra to go wide with the pounce and giving Vinny the opportunity to corner up there and stop the Dracula. But yeah, like I said before, Sinners survivors here are doing an incredible job of stealthing early game and making sure that they have progress on gens before the first chase even starts.
Yeah, because I mean, the more that you can get done earlier into the game, the happier you're going to be. You thought you were sneaky there, Jason, and you may not be sneaky, but you may have nimble feet regardless. Definitely doing a phenomenal job of dodging out that pounce. Unfortunately, the Hellfire form comes out just in time, and you are going to eat an initial hit. Now you're taking this chase into a bit of a risky position. I mean, arguably you don't really have the capacity to survive elsewhere, as desperately vaulting back and forth seems to do you decently for at least a moment, and you hop the locker, and
Vinny goes second.
I mean, Vinny goes second. I guess Ultra was really prioritizing coming back. I mean, you had the opportunity to pick Jason out the locker, didn't opt to do it. Is there something I've missed that's like very obvious, or no?
Yeah, so Vinny goes second here because Jason got found going for the unhook, and the other 2 survivors of Sinners were committing to the generators, and that's going to be an instant worry here onto Vinny. So it was, I think, Bucky here on the ace, I'm pretty sure, was the one that was rotating over to get the save after Jason got found, but it was too late. So maybe miscommunication here from Sinners as to who was going to get that unhook. It really seemed like their plan was to just sit on generators while Vinny was on the hook, have Jason hide, and then unhook him at 1 generator. But now, a little bit of a wrinkle in that plan. They are still going to be down to 1 generator. but Vinny was unceremoniously moried right off the hook. I mean, this would have been an incredible position for Sinners if Vinny had gotten unhooked before going second stage.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you could just come through again, Ultra knew it as well. The second that second stage come through, knew that there would be an unhook very shortly after, made their way over to the very other side of the map with a quick teleport, and now a nice pounce coming through onto SMS as well to secure that injury. It's not implausible for this final generator to still be completed. The split is pretty good. Even with the inbuilt ability that the Dark Lord has, you're still going to struggle to necessarily lock down all of these gens individually. And it seems that since the injure onto SMS, they have ended up going loose as well. So yeah, this is definitely far from over for the Survivor side right now. This middle gen got a decent amount of progress, sounds to be about maybe 40% or so. So I'm very interested to see whether that one can continue getting bullied out. Eruption is on every single generator right now. And Wee Jason was caught out of the window there, pants down completely.
Yeah, and nice little teleport here from Ultra. And this is where the Dark Lord is going to have so much mobility, so much more than you would think. It's almost like he's got Blight mobility here as he misses the pounce there onto SMS. That is crucial. It's going to be another delay on these generators before they get hit by Eruption with this down. And SMS winning the mind game on the TL wall as well. Also dodging out on the Hellfire. This is wasting so much time for Ultra, and he has to decommit. Huge chase here from the Jake, and that's going to be even more time added onto these generators for Sinners.
Yeah, but you have to be, so scared of continuously working on these generators. In the meantime, this one over at the bottom of this hill has been progressed quite a significant amount. And obviously you're very glad to see Wee Jason get healed up as well, if you're a Sinners fan. Unfortunately, SMS, you can hear him in the area, has gone over to the shack. Teleport the window to block it, and I believe Shack Pallet is down here, so SMS just going to pop themselves into the basement. Eruption hits on all of the final generators. You feel comfortable enough here for Ultra to actually get a Scourge Hook off before the final generator is completed. Fair enough, right? It's going to work out just fine for you because one of this stuff. Wait, the nick of time! Oh my god! SMS going into that basement, buying just an extra second, actually made all the difference. That's the last generator popped.
I did not think that gen on the hill had that much progress, Egdar. That is a serious surprise coming out from Sinners. And that's going to be, only 4 stages here for Ultra, and all of the gens are done. What can he do here to better his result? If I were the Sinners survivors here, I would just be leaving. But looks like Bucky is going to go for the unhook there onto SMS. They want to get as many stages out as they possibly can. But there aren't a lot of resources here over in the shack side of the map. SMS chasing at the shack, maybe thinking he might be able to get a hatch play here. Wolf form going to come out. Ultra trying to look for the right time to pounce. But SMS going to path away from the shack there and go down once again. There can't be any decisive strike in play here, so that is just going to be the pickup onto SMS. Other survivors leaving out the door, and I think that is definitely the correct decision here. Two fresh survivors out the door is already an incredible result for Sinners. I don't think they needed to risk anything more. They can already be very happy with what they have.
Absolutely. And the Dark Lord performs incredibly well. Is going to 4K more often than not. It's a thin margin. It's about 53%, but still being able to escape with, I believe that was only, I want to say, how many stages? We're looking at 6 stages, 2 freshes at the very end. It's a great performance. Again, Sinners have really broken the mold here. We thought this would be, a pretty close matchup, and we thought that the nurse set wouldn't go the way it did, but ultimately, Sinners are showing up in a big way right now. Gonna see exactly how they can do when they take their pick on the Dark Lord, which we will be back with in just a few minutes.
Welcome back, everybody, to the second half of the second set here between Misery and Sinners. We have Wee Jason on the Dark Lord here, and the survivors of misery are in quite a precarious situation here after a disappointing result from their killer. If Jason is able to meet that result here, it will be match point for Sinners. Now, this wasn't Jason's killer pick. We don't know exactly how good he's going to be on the Dark Lord, but it remains to be seen because these survivors of misery need to play very, very perfectly here on the Father Campbell's Chapel here, as the Dark Lord seems to be finally finding his first survivor here. Good job so far of the misery survivors to stealth out on that first chase, but now it's going to be Ultra in chase here for the first one of the match.
Oh, good stun is going to be coming out mid-cast of the Hellfire. Means that it's going to delay the first hit coming on for just a little bit longer. Remember, it took about 2 minutes, 13 seconds for the hit to come through for Misery's killer for Ultra. So if you can get that first down earlier, as the first hit seems to be coming in definitely a little bit earlier, you should be relatively happy with that for Jason. Now you have the Hellfire charged up and you're in a pretty commanding position. Where'd you really go here? You don't even need it ultimately. You're just going to end up swinging through the pallet anyway. You end up picking off of it, so there's no hope for any kind of rescue. And if this is a Scourge Hook, then that's just the cherry on top. And by God, it is.
And I mean, I don't want to be too critical here, but that was definitely check spottable for Ultra there. I think he 100% should have made the shack pallet there. Waited at the corner and seen that Jason was doubling back. He did that twice and still ended up getting caught by it at the shack. It's going to result in the first down. I think that chase could have been longer.
Yeah, and it really seems that Abby's in a precarious spot right now. Does Jason know? And apparently not. Is just going to be heading over to main building instead. Looks like Cheese and Wancy are going to be good to complete their generator for the time being. What interests me is there's a Devour on the side of Jason. Now, of course, you're not going to really utilize it at all in the first place. It seems like I think that your game plan here is get the tunnel out onto Ultra and get summoned up by Shack Pallet. You're going to be able to get rid of it, but you're going to opt not to. You are very, very desperate for the... I guess you're just desperate for the tunnel out onto Ultra, so you're going to be going for it.
Ultra with a big chance to redeem himself here as he makes that Shack Pallet and gets the stun. That's the best case scenario for him in this chase now, because it seems like his team is being pretty efficient on the gens here. Hellfire going to be coming out at this filler loop, and he is going to go down to that one. Unfortunate there, but at these low-walled filler loops, it is extremely difficult to avoid that Hellfire. So Ultra going to be put up on his second hook here, but it is his second hook. They didn't let him go second like in the last match. So if Abby, Cheese, and Wancy can continue their efficiency on the gens, this is definitely not over for Misery. They've still got a chance here. And I just want to say, so many of our Ada players today are wearing the new Resident Evil 4 Ada skin, and I think it's a little bit of a debuff, because what color do you think the killers are always looking for the most in Dead by Daylight? Go back to the trench coat skin, guys. I think that Ada skin is pay to lose for comp in particular.
Of course. I mean, speaking of payment there, Abby going to be paying over one of their own health stages over to Ultra, and in essence, trading a hook stage as well. That's not the worst case scenario for Jason. You're able to hold on. You're able to get another pain resonance out of that. It seemed like you did manage to proc another eruption as well. In the meantime, you're going to be going over back to this side of the map to look for a different survivor. Abby eventually going to be unhooked. I mean, best case scenario is you just kill Ultra again, right? And then, but you have a stage onto Abby, that's going to be pretty free for a second stage, and Ultra can go down as well. Could also just get a quick chase through onto Wancy. You're not too worried about kicking this gen, because you can just go bat mode and, you know, instantly appear right on that survivor at a moment's notice. And you're going to be catching this very short loop here. Honestly, good heads-up play from Wancy to leave that loop. I think you're basically just dead to the Hellfire if you stick around left too long. What? No, you were going for the head-on play. Oh, no. Okay, no, sorry. I got confused. I'm surprised Wancy just kind of teleported into the locker on my screen. But no, hopped the locker, but got down in the process of that. I thought there was someone else who tried to go for like a scuffed head-on play, but no, apparently not. Wancy is going to be failed. Put on this hook, ideally a Scourge hook, if you're Wee Jason for now. These stages are racking up, but you still don't have any kills. That's the 4th stage now. You need 2 more. For your, well, 2 more would actually get you the win because you have more fresh hooks now.
Yeah, and you at home in the audience might be thinking, OMG, terrible pathing from Wancy. I could do so much better than that at the pallet gym. But actually, Wancy's heads-up play there to leave that short loop, he realized that that didn't leave him with enough distance to make the pallet at the pallet gym because the pallet gym was facing the wrong way. So he had to take a 50-50 check spot on the non-pallet part of the tile. And that was what resulted in him going down there. So still a good play from Wancy, able to deny the usage of the Hellfire. The Dark Lord gets so slowed down when he pulls out that Hellfire that if possible, you should hold W away from those short loops. You don't want to get hit over a wall by that. And now Abby here. So much stealth play coming in from Abby this game, going for all of these unhooks here. Wee Jason going to be charging up the Hellfire, but it's going to miss there. Abby now going to try to get to the hook at any cost. Already 1 hook on her, though, so this is going to be a dangerous trade here. Wancy possibly going second here, and he does! No! Oh, no! At the last second, Abby is not going to be able to get the unhook. The 1 second bought by Wee Jason hitting Abby was the 1 second that was needed to have that survivor go second, but the final generator is done here. Wee Jason, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stages here, I believe. He needs more, I think, if he's going to get this win.
Wancy hit second. Abby hit second. Ultra is on 2.
Ultra's only on first hook.
Ultra only on first hook? Oh yeah, Ultra.
Wait, no, Ultra is on second hook. That was the spectator bug. So he is at 6 right now.
Yeah, so he's 1 more fresh hooks as well, right? It's spectator bugs don't do anyone any favors, least of all the people who are trying to tell you what's happening on the screen. It's a hell of a thing, and yeah, Wancy also going to go down in the corner. If it wasn't certain that the win had been secured for Wee Jason and Sinners, this pretty brutal Mori. I've been hating on Moris all day, but you know what? Fair play. They kind of cooked with this one. Probably tastes of metal.
So that is, yeah, going to be the confirmed kill there on Wancy and Survivors of Misery. I mean, not a bad overall result for them, especially against the Dark Lord, but it's just not what they needed here, and that's going to be Sinners going to match point here heading into our 3rd set, which, again, is their pick.
Things are not looking up right now. It's going to have to be a crazy reverse sweep to come out from the side of Misery if they want to, keep the hope alive, not be driven to the airport immediately. We are going to be back after a very quick break. When we are, we're going to be seeing the Houndmaster on the coal tower. It's going to be Sinner's pick, and so they are going to be killing first. We are going to be with you very, very shortly. Now, going to be relatively similar start, spawning far opposite the main building by Shack, and looking at finding an early survivor. Of course, before you're able to find a survivor quite quickly, the dog is going to help you figure out where you need to look and where you don't need to look. And so, yeah, you know that she's been spotted out here. Actually going to force a very, very quick pallet break. Definitely seems that you have to play a little bit safe here. You can send him over the pallet, and then a very quick second use of the dog. But unfortunately, with speed, you sometimes, and in this case, often seem to sacrifice accuracy.
Yeah, almost a flick of the dog coming in there from Wee Jason, but Cheese faced with a TL into a double window. Definitely not what you want to find as a survivor on the coal tower. Those 2 tiles back to back into a 4-lane as well. Not the best tile RNG here for Misery. And now Cheese actually, and I think now you're starting to see why survivors may not like this killer.
Yep, it's so it's been made abundantly clear to me in the past 5 seconds of gameplay. Scourge Hook before the first gen pops is going to be really good for you if you're Wee Jason. Plus, you have a pop goes the Weasel in your back pocket as well. So if the survivors have been splitting on gens, one of them's hit with a Scourge Hook, you can pop the other one, or you can just hit the one that was, you can just hit the most progressed one with a pop as well, maximize, you know, the sheer numbers value that you're getting out of that perk. It's pretty good for you, and yeah, it's a really good use of pop there as well. Likely that you're just going to be sending the dog. Well, see if you can send the dog back near towards the hook. You're just going to have to do it yourself, lug yourself over there. Of course, with such an early hook onto Cheese, the tunnel out is looking to be pretty spectacular. That's a life that's out there, and again, these are basically dog trick shots that are coming through right now, but for it to be a successful trick shot, it has to hit. Seems that the Kane is going to do decent enough job with it anyway. And again, multitasking as well, why not? You know, you learn new things about the killer as you go along. While you're looking at picking up this survivor, you can send it off. And I'm sorry, I'm definitely a boom of saying this. Is that a skin that makes the dog a poodle?
It is. Yes, that is the ultimate Houndmaster skin. It's
Wow.
quite expensive. I don't know the exact RXL's value of it, but I know it's close to 2,000. Yeah, yes, the dog is a poodle. That is the only Houndmaster skin that does change the actual dog itself. But she's going to be put up on her second hook here, and this is not looking good for Misery. They need to get something here. They need to have some strong chases against this Houndmaster. They need to get Cheese off of this hook and be able to avoid that tunnel out, which you know is going to be coming in here from Wee Jason. Wants to get one survivor out as quickly as possible, and that's going to be Abby, immediately grabbed by the dog and ignored. Still just going to be going after Cheese here. Cheese, you need to make it to the shack here, or to have some sort of hit coming in. Ultra, we see him over there on the side, maybe ready to take a hit, maybe ready to free Cheese from the dog if he has to. Okay, that is going to be the hit taken by Ultra. Good stuff there. But the dog charge is going to come in here. Redirect, not yet. Oh, but he is going to hit the redirect there. Wee Jason going to get Cheese down for the third time this game. Not able to make it to the shack pallet either. Cheese going to be eliminated from this trial with 4 generators remaining. And it really saddens me to say this, Egdar, but I think near airport is going to be coming true here soon, because this is not what you want against the Houndmaster. This is a killer that you should be able to run a lot longer.
Oh. I mean, some of it can obviously be chalked up to survival mistake. I also think Wee Jason has been doing a pretty solid job with the dog thus far. A lot of the downs haven't necessarily been coming through from them, but there's definitely the threat that is there, and there's definitely the threat that is there. But I mean, again, if you get a 4K here for Wee Jason, you aren't just ahead of schedule. You have broken the schedule entirely. Of course, the dog getting stuck on a box there. Some things never change at the end of the day. But you're still pretty happy here. You're able to find out the survivor locked in a corner. Go for a cheeky redirect, not able to get it. Stick around to apply pop to the generator, why don't you, big lad? Also is going to put the eruption on top of it as well. And yeah, it's a very, very spooky thing to be trying to outplay the dog on the window. Scary to try and outplay Wee Jason at the power. It doesn't even need the help of that power whatsoever. However, you're going to chain that tile into the window and then chain that into the drop pallet as well. You're making some pretty spectacular distance right now. I'm not sure what because I see the flicks coming out from Wee Jason, but they all seem to just be like missing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really not easy to hit those dog redirects. There's a little bit of a delay when you switch into the dog. It's a lot easier for the survivor to dodge them as it is for the Houndmaster to hit them. So you see another one missed there, but it's the reason why this killer can be so strong in 1v1s is because survivors intentionally path away from where they think the dog is going to go, and then that allows the Houndmaster to just M1 them anyways. So it seems like Wee Jason is like going for clips here, honestly. If I were him, I would just send the dog once, and yeah, The efficient way to play this killer is to use the dog like a single Demogorgon lunge and wait until you don't need the redirect to have the dog latch on.
Yeah, and that bought time for another generator to be completed across the map and for the heal to come through onto Ultra. So it's definitely it was a very good chase by all accounts from Abby. Again, how much of that is Jason simply attempting to style on the competition? We'll never know, I guess. But ultimately, you're not going to complain about eventually getting the down. Also going to get rid of some of these pallets from around these problematic areas with the gens as well. Find out Ultra in the corner here. Are you going to opt to commit? No, instead you're just going to send the dog back over to the hook, see if you can catch whoever is coming through for that unhook. It's going to be Wancy. I don't think you particularly care about taking Wancy out of the equation here. You can definitely get an injure onto her with the help of the dog. Ultimately, it's Abby that you really want, and you're just holding on to his Wancy for as long as possible there.
Yeah, I'm really not sure what the thought is there.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
Behind just like holding on to Wancy, there's no borrowed time in play. There's no endurance or anything. I think that was just a waste of 5 to 7 seconds. Wancy now in chase at this 4 lane. Don't believe there is a pallet here. There might be one that was dropped before, yeah, but I mean, playing a 4 lane pallet on NA versus SA ping has got to be nearly impossible here for Wancy.
Yeah, and Abby's dropped themselves. Likely, I'm going to assume that's a plot twist. I couldn't think of what else it would be. So likely going to be healing up to full sooner rather than later, since it's another fresh hook being secured. I mean, again, gens are what you really want, but you're not going to complain about getting everyone on fresh hook if it does eventually come to that. The 4K seems very likely, so I'm not sure if you're too concerned with the details of whether you let that 4th gen slip away or not, because again, you're already way ahead of schedule as this killer here today. And you see what Ultra is eventually being forced to work on has had to go, all the way back to the main building, the top gen, which has gotten absolutely nothing onto it. Abby's going to be grabbed up in the process of trying to rescue Wancy here. It forces Ultra to drop, and they're going to have to... And yeah, I see what you mean about dropping a pallet, even one as safe as Shack pallet, against the Houndmaster. It's just not going to work out for you.
Yeah, and so this is part of why survivors don't like playing against this killer, is that the optimal gameplay against the Houndmaster is when you've reached a pallet, you stand there and you don't drop it. Because if you throw it and then they throw the dog, you just die, regardless of how safe that pallet is. But if you just stand there and you just have to play chicken there at the undropped pallet against the Houndmaster. So if she throws the dog first, if she blinks first, then you just stun the dog with the pallet and keep running. So the design of the power, it encourages very weird and not normal gameplay at pallets. As we see the survivors of misery dropping pallets in the regular way that survivors should be encouraged to in this game, and it's getting them killed because of the Houndmaster's mechanics.
Yeah, and you can see, I mean, there was an attempt there to kind of, catch Wancy as they were coming round the corner. It was not to be, unfortunately. You're going to be playing around this 4 lane now, but Wancy knows a little better to do that. It's going to make a little bit of distance and pre-drop this pallet as well. Works well, but you made the mistake of vaulting within the line of sight of Jason, and for that, he is going to hit you with the cane and put you on a meat hook.
Yep, so Wancy going to go down. The audacity to go near a window in the radius of the dog. It's going to be Wancy on second hook here. There hasn't really been any tunneling going on, and oh, the killer instinct there. Actually, extremely smart play from Jason. Going to use the killer instinct from the power to immediately find out on Abby, who has been stealthing for the unhook. And that's going to be the death there onto Abby. And, I mean, Abby has been stealthing for unhooks all day today, and Jason just didn't want to see that anymore. Used the killer's power there to get killer instinct on the surrounding area, and is rewarded with an early kill.
Especially because you could see, Jason had no idea that Abby was there until the killer instinct came through. So it's actually a really strong part of the power. We've reached a new level of counterplay. We're not using windows, we're not using pallets, we're going to hop a locker and use a decisive strike instead. So, I mean, you know what? I kind of forgot about the potential of decisive strike to be in play, so fair enough, it buys you a little bit of extra time. Again, Ultra is going to have a hell of a time completing final generator here. We could see him poking out of the top of this building here. Jason going to play a little bit safe, apply eruption to it as well. I mean, with Wancy injured and Ultra soon to be felled here, you have a bit of a problem on your hands for the Misery survivors.
Yeah, it's not really looking probable that this last gen is going to get done for Misery. Well, not even the last gen. This is the 4th gen we're talking about here. Jason still has the classic Cold Tower 3 gen to play with, as well as one over by the Shack side. Ultra just straight up gets injured by the dog after vaulting that pallet. And it seems like Jason is going to try to leave both survivors injured. That is the smart play here. Good game sense by Jason. He doesn't want any generator to slip by here by switching between the survivors that are both injured and not allowing them to reset. He's able to make sure that they have as little gen progress as possible. Wancy now at this 4 lane, going to just get grabbed by the dog. And this is where you would stun the dog. If the pallet were stronger than a 4 lane pallet, Jason can just walk right around it and get the aura onto Ultra over there on that main building generator. So this should be the 4K2 secured for Jason. A very strong performance on the Houndmaster. But it also seemed a little bit like Misery's survivors didn't understand how you have to play against this killer. It's very different than a normal killer.
Yeah, it's new, so you can sort of forgive that to a degree, but of course, what will separate from the wheat and the chaff is the ability to adapt, and it looks like Misery struggled to adapt today. Again, we've only seen 25% of Houndmaster matches end with the 4K. Hatch going to be shut now, so you have Hatch going to be shut, so you have secured that 4K. You can even send the dog over to the exit gate specifically. Why the hell not? Just continue to get that search. Ultra has been found out here, so it shouldn't be much longer until we get to see the Houndmaster Mori, which, if I recall, is actually a pretty good one.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a pretty ridiculous result for the Houndmaster. We have seen the Houndmaster get bullied, frankly, so far in the winter circuit. Many teams are able to 3 or even 4 out her on the Cold Tower. So, I mean, this is going to be do or die here for Misery. Their tournament life is on the line. They need to get a pretty ridiculous killer result on a killer that they did not pick. So I'm guessing it's going to be Ultra. So it's all going to come down to Ultra here in the second half of this Houndmaster set right after a short break. Welcome back, everybody, to the Cold Tower for potentially the final set of the day and potentially the end of Misery's tournament life here. Ultra is on the Houndmaster here. He has to put the entire team on his back and get a 4K3 here to take the win for Misery. Going to miss that first dog, but he will get an M1 because of the way that the window was placed there. Vinny going to be injured and going over towards the shack now. Ultra trying to use the dog here is not sending it just yet. Vinny playing this pallet pretty well. Ultra seems indecisive on whether he wants to use the dog here, and actually Vinny just runs right into him. Lack of check spots there maybe, or is there a save coming in possibly? No save. So just a check spot deficiency there from Vinny. It's going to result in a pretty fast first down for Ultra by Houndmaster standards.
I mean, if I want to be accurate, I think I mean, the last down was 112, this down 45 seconds, so definitely making better time by almost 30 seconds. That is a not insignificant margin at all. Maybe we were just haters and there's a new Houndmaster meta going around, which we weren't familiar with. But more likely than not, Vinny did kind of beef on that palette just a little bit. You were saying that, you know, possibly Ultra was being a bit indecisive. Maybe the issue is that Vinny was too decisive, and that's what we end up happening. Now, it's very likely that campout's going to happen, at least onto second stage here, while Ultra continues to patrol these gens from a distance using the dog. I think the only issue that you run into here is that, well, first of all, Vinny doesn't even end up hitting second stage, which is your first problem. Number two, the survivors only need to complete 4 generators, so even if you're able to, you know, remove Vinny from the game instantly, the other 3 survivors, they just split. They'll have the 3 gens done by the time Vinny's dead, and probably a 4th one not long after that. And then they can just, you know, kick their feet up and relax and enjoy. I mean, I'd say sunny South America, but I've heard that Jason does play with the Penguins most of the time, so maybe not quite so warm the more south you go.
Yeah, and if you are Ultra here, I think you have to be playing for the tie. Holding on to a 4K3 in this situation seems pretty impossible, especially when his first hook was over by the shack there, allowing them to already break that main building 3-gen that always spawns on this map. So he doesn't have the traditional area to hold. He does have somewhat of a 3-gen over by the shack, but 3-gens don't matter because the survivors of Sinners only need to complete 4 gens. That's going to be Jason taking a hit there, running the fluorescent white Nicolas Cage. It's definitely a fashion choice. Dog redirect going to miss there onto SMS, and that's going to result in even more time bought here for Sinners. That was a crucial redirect to miss there. SMS now not dropping the pallet just yet. Smart job from him. And the dog redirect is going to land there, but this pallet stun on the dog is going to get him away from that swing. He is still going to go down, but that was, I mean, textbook good survivor play against the Houndmaster there. And I think Ultra knows that he needs to slug now. He needs to find a snowball, and this killer can snowball if the survivors let her. She has a very short cooldown, and I mean, it's a long shot, but it is certainly possible for this killer.
Yeah, and Jason is actually caught out in the corner here. Is going to be tagged up by the dog and failed in the process. Weren't able to proc another eruption, and SMS, I mean, the slug's a good idea, but when SMS gets picked up, essentially no harm, no foul. The very most here, what you get is an extra pain resonance hook onto Jason. That is if you... Okay, there we are. If you are eventually able to hook Jason. That definitely took a while with it, but seemed to have gotten the pain res out of it as well. Meantime, main building being worked on. It's a relatively safe gen for Vinny. Likely going to be the Nia, you have to assume, is the balanced landing player. And SMS, interesting that Ultra goes to the other side in order to get that hit. Is going to force some odd positioning, force SMS to drop that shack pallet. Doesn't opt to break it, however, because it seems that you're really desperate for some kind of mad snowball, so you rush over to the site of the unhook to injure up Bucky. See if you can get a quick down. If not, then you might have just thrown an opportunity away, but I think desperate times do call for desperate measures here. And, I mean, credit to Ultra, he's been hitting these dogs very reliably.
Yeah, that was a very nice flick there onto Bucky. As you can see, it's a lot like Wesker would play at those tiles, as that's going to be the tie condition met here for Sinners. But that's not the end yet for Misery. Ultra can still secure this tie if he can get all of the survivors killed before another generator pops. And with the snowball potential of this killer, it is possible. He would need a lot of things to go right for him here. It's definitely a very long shot, but getting a quick chase here on Vinny would definitely be a good start. Redirect going to be coming in. The dog went so far there that almost disorients Ultra. He sees the Nick Cage in the distance going over towards the unhook. He's going to immediately call that out. Wants to defend this hook. Dog leaps over the pallet, finds nothing. But Ultra now, he's kind of going back towards the hook here. Wants to deny this unhook as long as he possibly can. Misses the dog there onto the Nia, but hits it with the redirect. And now that's going to be one survivor locked up. Doesn't want to go for the hit, though, because he wants to deny this unhook. He really wants Bucky to go second here. but the Nia is going to get away from the dog there and be able to unhook Bucky before he goes to second stage. That is disaster for Ultra. He really needed that second stage if he wanted to have a chance here. Oh, and the short swing into the pallet stun is just even more insult to injury.
I mean, that being said, Vinny's in a corner of the map, but Jason's here to take a hit, and I can only assume SMS is on the very far corner gen, or just even on the opposite side of the map during all of this chaos. And this has been, like, I want to say at least a minute, maybe a minute and a half of shenanigans that have been happening over at the main hook, and yeah, SMS's gen is almost completed, is eventually going to be forced off it at the very final second. You can see it's just going to take the time to kick that briefly before eventually getting the hit in and buying as much time as humanly possible. Every single member of Sinners are injured until Jason, Bucky, Vinny, they're going to play it safe. They're going to take time for the reset because they ultimately know it doesn't really matter if SMS gets hooked here. Like, what are you going to do? Minus 20% that far away gen with a pain res? I mean, by the time that Bucky and Jason heal each other up, they can probably just hop onto that edge generator and complete it at this point. The one kick is going to be relatively ineffectual at actually getting it down. How... I'm still learning this killer and everything. How does that happen?
You know, I can't tell you.
Yeah, I guess
I don't.
no
I mean,
one.
I played this killer a little bit to get the adept when she came out, but that was before she got buffed, and I just wasn't really interested in the killer after that. And that is going to be the final gen. I mean, the 4th gen, but the final gen for Sinners is completed. And that means that Sinners is going to take this series 3-0. Misery will be eliminated. Unfortunately, the last hope of North America is going to be gone. Yeah, it's sad for me as the NA caster, but Sinners played so well today. Their survivor play in particular looked so clean compared to what I feel like we usually see from them. I mean, their survivor play just looked unstoppable here. I can't wait to see them continue their run in the lower bracket.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a pretty sad goodbye over to Team Misery. Of course, they got knocked down in what seems to be a pretty close matchup against Ascent in their first round. They've been having a pretty good run against Loyalty, Catalyst, but Sinners were the ones that felled them at the end of the day. They're going to have the pleasure or displeasure, depending on how you would like to word this. So playing Oracle tomorrow, I think that's going to be just looking at the sheer numbers, how Oracle had a 2-1 game against Severance, and how Severance just got knocked out in a very close match against Synapse. I can only assume that the Sinners Oracle game is going to be a pretty good one.
Yeah, Sinners versus Oracle, definitely looking to be a good matchup. As the Nicolas Cage is freed from the dog at the last second, 5th generator is going to be popped, and that is going to be doors being worked on for Sinners, looking for outs against this Houndmaster. That is the usual result that we see against this killer. The anomaly was last time with Jason, and I'm wondering if we're going to be seeing Jason playing the Houndmaster again tomorrow. The pick ban for that Sinners Oracle set definitely going to be happening later today, and I don't know what'll happen with this killer. I think either Oracle will choose to ban it, or Jason will want to play it again for his team. It's definitely a very strong killer. I don't know of anybody on Oracle that actually enjoys playing this killer. I would say it's definitely something niche that not every team is going to actually actively want to pick.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I mean, if you think about it, this was this was Sinner's pick, so it does. I mean, they won it at the end of the day, so that does make a good amount of sense. And Jason going to be taken off of the hook there. We're going to round the corner, see if any failed again. This is all just a little bit for money, a little bit for show, whatever you may wish to call it. But yeah, Houndmaster's made a very strong impression of me in her first appearance, especially the Hound itself, because that is not like a deadly bloodhound. That is a poodle. Oh wait, well this one's a deadly bloodhound. But
This one is the regular form of the dog. It's
I mean,
actually
maybe
a.
that's why more of the dogs were hitting, because this one wasn't a poodle.
Actually, the Houndmaster's dog, fun fact, is a cane corso, which is known as one of, if not the most dangerous dogs in the entire world. But it's also actually very, like, I think widely used in like guard dog scenarios, to the point where they're not just like mindless beasts that attack anything. They're quite trainable and often used by militaries, from what I've read. So definitely a cool thematic choice for them to choose the different dogs that the Houndmaster uses. And I'm sure we're going to be getting even more Houndmaster dogs as they give her skins in the future. Not just the Cane Corso and the Poodle. So we are going to be saying goodbye to Misery here. But Sinners will live to fight another day tomorrow against Oracle.